is shining in the sky. There ain't a cloud in sight. It stopped raining, everybody's in a play. And don't you know, it's a beautiful new day. Hey.
If you have been on the internet at all in the past few weeks, you may have seen some trouble with the saying, "Okay, boomer." If you were versed with meme culture, however, you would know that "okay, boomer" is a term we commonly use to retaliate at people who are boomers or of the boomer mindset.
Oh, but what's a boomer, Cody? I'm inept.
That you are, fictional viewer. A boomer is someone who was born in between 1946 and 1964. These people are usually around 55 to 75 years old, and a common stereotype we associate with them is that they are closed-minded, hate technology, and think millennials and Gen Z are just special snowflakes, for lack of a better term. In recent years, however, boomer has become a well-known meme and a way to classify closed-minded or ignorant people who don't understand millennials or Gen Z. There's your Viper X's approved history lesson. Let's move on. In the past few weeks, however, "okay, boomer" has finally gotten to the boomers and people of the boomer mindset, and it has been classified as an ageist slur similar to the N-word. I couldn't make this shit up if I tried. We really do live in a society. I also want to point out that the word ageist is just, it's stupid. It's not a valid argument, because I could turn it right back around and say that boomer comics pointed at millennials and Gen Z are also ageist because it makes fun of them. You see, it's pretty easy to make an ageist argument. Furthermore, ageist is also commonly used by pedophilia groups, and I don't think anyone wants to be associated with that. I know for a fact I don't want to be associated with that. For today's video, however, I wanted to take a look at this video from the JournalistEW. I've never heard of them, but they are just, I'm at a loss of words, okay? So without any further ado, let's watch this video together.
Hello, my name is Dustin Levitt, and this is Approved Journalism. So today we're going to discuss a poll that we just put out a couple days ago. And this poll was to raise awareness about elder abuse and basically to highlight a new mainstream now. It's very mainstream, this fad where younger people will go after older people, kind of blaming everything on them. They refer to them as boomers, which, before this point in time was relatively innocuous.
Okay, first off, saying "okay, boomer" to a boomer is not elder abuse. It's a comeback, albeit a very overused one. It's never used on elderly people minding their own business, living their own life. It's used to address boomers posting something along the lines of technology bad or youth bad. Half the time, "okay, boomer" is even used on people who aren't boomers. It's a meme. Now, to address your statement saying that we are blaming everything on boomers, what are we blaming them for? I really have not the slightest idea where "okay, boomer" has even the slightest connotation to blaming them. We are just saying "okay, boomer." It's a meme, for Christ's sake. Also, I know we're only just in the first 31 seconds, but you have lost all your integrity as a journalist when you open up with, "the term boomer is being used by millennials and stupid little kids as an ageist slur against older, mature people." You have lost all journalistic integrity in my eyes when you cannot even stay unbiased in your statement. You have instead chose to ride this high horse and insult the vast majority of the internet. And by doing this, you have rigged your poll for failure, and it shows. If you wanted an honest poll, you would have phrased this like an adult.
Anyway, they use this one phrase in particular to respond to anything that an older person might say. "Okay, boomer."
Like I said earlier, it's not anything they say, it's just stuff directed at millennials and Gen Z. I thought that'd be pretty obvious to someone with half a brain.
And, we've seen this kind of harassment before with different marginalized people, but it's just, it's almost acceptable to a lot of people in the public. And, much like the N-word, and that's why we used in the poll, we referred to the N-word in the soon-to-be-called B-word as relatively equal.
Did you really just compare boomers, a generation that's pretty well off, with minority groups from the past? I hate to break it to you, but that's stupid. "Okay, boomer" is nowhere near the level of our racist past. Don't even try to tell me that it is, because once again, anyone with a modicum of intelligence understands that they cannot be compared. Furthermore, "okay, boomer" isn't a problem to the general public because they understand that it's not causing harm or inflicting hate, blah blah blah. They know it's a meme. It's not like we're going around saying that would be understandably problematic. So no, they are not relatively equal.
And this is very true, but it caused quite a fury on Facebook where we put the poll. I think the votes are over 300,000 now, with 95% people saying that no, we should not ban the B word. We shouldn't censor it.
Because it's not a fucking slur. 95% of people understand it's a meme. For a journalist, you know, you're pretty pro censorship. I'm just saying.
I mean, obviously the poll has been disrupted, and we're going to have to adjust it after the poll has concluded.
The poll was not disrupted. You were just failing to come to terms with your failed attempt at censorship. The poll was put on Facebook too, an area where Gen Z doesn't really touch. I only use Facebook for family personally, and I'm sure 90% of my generation hasn't even touched Facebook in years. So I'm pretty sure millennials and everyone else who uses Facebook has answered pretty honestly here. And even after you adjust it, I'm pretty sure no is still going to be the majority.
I love democracy.
But regardless of all of that, I mean, it's just kind of history repeating itself when you think about it.
Here he goes making the history analogy again. I'm not repeating myself. You know where I stand on this.
And I mean, we have all these people on here trying to... They dumped this one thing on the Facebook with this John Mulaney quote. And I don't know if you guys remember John Mulaney. He was like this up-and-coming stand-up comic. You don't really hear too much from him anymore.
John Mulaney is a successful comic, and he also played Spider-Pig in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. That's probably where a lot of you guys know him from. John Mulaney is also pretty intelligent in my opinion. I like the guy, cut me some slack. Here's a quote from him that I really like. If something is very, very funny, but possibly controversial, if it's truly funny, then it's worth doing. Things aren't worth doing for the sake of being controversial.
But he basically said in some kind of stand-up act where he was talking about like someone referring to something as an equal to the N-word, and he said that, well, whatever that word is that you're saying it out in full. And you're not saying the N-word out in full. So the N-word is obviously, you know, the worst word because you can't even say it.
The quote that Dustin is referring to is this: if you're comparing the badness of two words and you won't even say one of them, that one is the worst word. I wholeheartedly agree. If you're willing to say boomer but not the N-word, it's pretty obvious that the N-word is the worst word.
It's wrong to make fun of people, you know, but it's so fun sometimes. I've written for some TV shows, and, you know, on a major TV show, you have to be careful about what you say about people because a lot of people can get offended, or so it has been explained to me. I was writing for an awards show once, and I got into some trouble. I wrote a joke for this awards show that had the word midget in it. And someone from the network came down to our offices, and he said to me, "Hey, you can't put the word midget on TV." And I said, "I sure would like to." And he said, "No, midget is as bad as the N-word." First off, no. No, it's not. Do you know how I know it's not? I said to him, is because we're saying the word midget, and we're not even saying what the N-word is. If you're comparing the badness of two words, and you won't even say one of them, that's the worst word.
First of all, there's there's a lot wrong with this, but just imagine that this glass that I'm holding is a microphone, because I know a lot of people these days, especially younger people, they seem to get all of their intellectual points from people up on stage or on Comedy Central.
There are no intellectual ideas on Comedy Central. Well, occasionally, but it's rare. I think we can all agree on that. As for comics, comedians in my eyes are usually pretty intelligent and understand society better than most people. Not all comedians, but a lot do. For example, Dave Chappelle's Sticks and Stones is a perfect example of this. The whole act is a really interesting poke at our society. Chappelle discusses the LGBT, racism, cancel culture, and so much more. I highly suggest you go watch it if you haven't already. A comic that I and many others respect is George Carlin, and he had some really intelligent ideas and things to say about our society while he was still alive. So I think it's safe to say that comedians are pretty good places to get some ideas from. But saying that we get our ideas from comedians and Comedy Central entirely is just ridiculous. People are capable of forming their own independent ideas, researching or following people that interest them and get them thinking. I, for one, attribute my interest in politics and modern ideas to the YouTuber Chris Ray Gun. Check him out, he's a pretty funny funny guy. It's a good watch.
For better or worse. I think we know which one. All right, so you caught me at a disadvantage there, first of all. When we put something on Facebook, I can't say the N-word out in full. If this was on some kind of platform where there wasn't that kind of censorship at all, then I would say everything out in full. It would suit the poll a little better, of course. But, I can't. So, that's the only reason, of course, obviously.
Honestly, I don't think you would even say it if you were given the chance. If you want to say it, and it's your journalistic right, as you put it, why not say it in this segment to prove Melanie wrong? Why not say boomer and the N-word? You're not on Facebook, you're not breaking its guidelines, you're on YouTube. Make the comparison or stop complaining.
We just can't say it. And that's what we're trying to do with the B word. And once people realize what the B word is, then we can call it the B word. Otherwise, I have to say boomer. That we're in this transitional period.
There's nothing to censor, Dustin. It's a meme, not a slur. It's really starting to smell like Article 13 in here, man.
What you're saying to me more than anything, though, and this is kind of relatively insulting, honestly.
I think your want to censor boomer is insulting and borderline Orwellian. I think your dislike towards my generation is insulting and childish. I think the fact you want to compare the N-word and boomer is insulting to years of progress. I can do this all day.
Is that you're saying, look at the history of media and censorship. Was the N-word always censored? Was it censored before other words in media?
No, obviously it wasn't. This is because pre-civil rights movement blacks were seen as inferior, which is pretty fucked up. This came from a society, a country, that thrived off slavery and racism, a society that was backwards. We now know, however, what's right and what's wrong. We accept our mistakes, and we thrive to build a better world. You, however, are trying to erase that progress by trying to compare boomer to a slur with years of hate and racism behind it, because apparently it's fucking ageist.
But a lot of people that seem to give me this John Mulaney quote and all this stuff seem to think so.
Like I said, your argument falls flat against the quote. Also, this is more nitpicky, but the fact that he doesn't jump cut and drinks his water is really annoying to me. I don't know why. Like I said, it's more of a nitpick, nothing against him. It just bothers me. I can't pinpoint it.
Because otherwise, why would they say that these words that were censored before the N-word are somehow, I don't know, like how are those words worse than the N-word? That's what you're saying to me right now, right?
I had to rewatch this part a few times, and I still don't know what I'm supposed to be understanding here. It makes not even a modicum of sense to me. Can someone please help me?
No, what you all need to do, all of you people who give me this ridiculous argument, is you need to get with the times. You need to be a little more considerate of other people.
The classic "you don't agree with me, therefore you are stupid and below me" argument. Yes, Dustin, rules and standards do change. I said that earlier, but boomer does not apply to this. Boomer is a meme. We do not need to adapt to your view of what's right and wrong because we are individuals who like a meme. That's idiotic. I'm trying not to say this, but Dustin, you were a boomer. I find it really funny because he's defending these boomers and telling us to change our worldview and to get with the times. But the stereotype for boomer, as I said, is someone who is closed-minded and refuses to get with the times. It's really, it's a cruel irony for him. Dustin is committing doublethink if you think about it.
Some empathy. Marginalized people of age are being attacked more now than ever. We're seeing it all the time.
Ageism is not a valid argument, and this tweet he shows on screen reads like an Onion article. Boomer is the N-word of ageism. Being hip and flip does not make bigotry okay, nor is a derisive epithet acceptable because it is new. You see, the problem with this tweet is that boomer isn't new. It's been around for years. It's used to classify the baby boomers, for fuck's sake. We didn't invent a word to insult them. It's not a slur.
So yeah, what is a slur now was not always a slur. That's how the world works. And so that's what we're trying to do. This is a transitional period.
Yes, as you've said, God knows how many times. Also, I disagree with the whole "what's a slur now wasn't always a slur." I'm pretty sure words like spick, chink, gook, any slur was always a slur because it was used to insult and degrade said races. Nobody was like, oh hey, there's my favorite gook. They were always slur. They were just accepted during those periods, and they are not now.
I'm sorry, I know People seem to think that these little bits from stand-up acts are somehow genius. Like John Mulaney is like the next George Carlin or B.G. Cumbie.
I don't think anyone is comparing John Mulaney to George Carlin. People like me just think that Mulaney is pretty smart and knows what he's talking about in the quote. And once again, people don't get all their ideas from comics. That is ridiculous to say.
But he's not, alright? I mean, it's a flawed argument.
I would beg to differ. I would say you're the one with the flawed argument, Dustin, and I would think most people would agree with me.
I would say the N-word out. I would yell it out for a poll if I could.
Then do it, Dustin. You're on YouTube, not Facebook. You said it yourself. It's in your journalistic right. Stop beating around the bush and just do it.
Can't do it on Facebook. Don't know if you guys knew that, but try to type in the N-word out on Facebook. It doesn't work. Ridiculous argument. This has been Dustin Levitt. I'm a journalist. You're welcome.
Thank you, Dustin. You are a gift to the internet. If you actually watch this video, I'm happy to have a conversation with you or even hear your thoughts on my ideas. And to my audience, thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment down below.